it is. There's a certain amount of trial and error to the game because you have to face this enemy that you have to believe is deadly. You have to believe it can get to you and kill you. And the first few times it happens, it's quite a shock that this thing is so capable. And the big twist for me is when people play the game and they have an idea of, I went around this door, the alien came out of there, and they do the same thing and he's not there. There's that moment where the players kind of stop and they go, oh wait a minute, this is different. So you get the very quick sharp learning curve of dying a couple of times, and then you start being a bit more cautious and learning a bit more, and then that's when you kind of get to the meat of the game, which is learning the abilities of the alien, where you see him react to something you do, and you might hear a hiss or him turn his head, and you go, oh okay, he reacted to me, and then you kind of keep quiet, and then you might investigate where you are, or you might move on. You kind of learn the boundaries of what you can get away with, and then after that you have a very definite idea of what you need to do to survive. Throughout the game there's various devices you can build and kind of weapons you can use to defend yourself, almost like a last line of defense. Now, the majority of the game is based around exploring and finding things you can use to give yourself more options when you're kind of stuck in a corner, or you've got an alien, the alien bearing down on you, so you want to give yourself as much to play with, so whether that's distractions or ways to try and burn the alien, like with a flamethrower or something, or just trying to keep it busy while you're evading. So a large part of it is getting yourself into a situation where you can choose what you need to do and put your plan into action and see what happens. I think it's a very different game to a lot of shooters, because first off, the big change is when you've got a gun, it's not on the screen. You have to actually bring it up to use it, because we didn't want to say to the player, you're supposed to shoot everything, because you're not. There are other threats on the station aside from the aliens, so we have human enemies and android enemies. I think a lot of people were very worried about that, because it's very easy for developers to throw in a sprinkling of lesser humans for you to gun down, but actually the humans in the game are not all aggressive. So some civilians, some are aggressive and they're more likely to take you on, but even those guys, they shout warnings before they do anything. They tell you, you better back off, and they give you a chance to go, that's cool, and just back away slowly, and then they don't attack you. So we wanted it to feel real, so you were in a situation you could believe. Now, the gameplay against the human is very similar to the alien. It is evading them, trying to get away from them. You can take them on in a gunfight if you want, but as soon as you fire a weapon, your hero is scrambling up in the ceiling, and then you have a much bigger problem. No, I mean, as game designers, we try and build the tension and peaks and troughs and storytelling and the narrative flow to make it all feel right. But from a mechanics point of view, we have an incredible amount to work with, because the alien is based on a system of senses. So it can hear, it can see you, light and movement and things like that affect its visual senses. But on top of that, it's got a series of behaviours that are designed to interpret that information and let him react to it. So if he's searching for you and he's seen something and he knows it's you, he kind of kicks it up a gear and knows roughly where you've been and comes to find you. But then we kick it up another notch by allowing him to react and adapt to the things you're using. So if you use a distraction like a flare or something, you strike it and you throw it, he instantly hears a noise, sees the light, goes to investigate it, you can maybe creep away. Try that again in 5 minutes time and all of a sudden it might not work so well. And it's those moments where you see the alien change what he's doing, and the rules not being so consistent according to what you're using, that you're like, okay, this is something different I've got to figure out. And I think that's a huge part of the length of the game, because there's a lot of replayability, because when you die and try again, or even if you reload a level, you get a completely different experience. On top of that, we have a lot of emerging gameplay with the humans, because if the humans are in the world and there is the alien there, do you fight them, or do you wait for the alien to maybe find them, or do you toss a noisemaker into them and hope the alien gets them before you? But there's so many different things that can happen with it. We've seen that in a couple of the playthroughs where people have seen a group of humans and gone, right, this is great, and they've managed to evade the alien for a while. They've used a device to cause a bit of noise, or they've used a melee weapon to hit a surface and bring the alien down. And then they've watched as the humans have screamed and run around, and the aliens left a trail of bodies behind them, and they're like, yeah, I did it. And they're like, oh no, wait, now there's a massive alien hunting me, and he knows there's something here. And it's that it's the risk versus reward of, do you try and evade two groups, or do you try and get them to fight each other and move out, or just sit back and see what happens?